Hi, I'm Micah, and today we're going to start on part 4 of making a K-pop song, and today is going to be all about percussion. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the best at working through these percussion sections, so we're going to just kind of work on this and see what we end up with and hope for the best. Okay, so here's our song. Remember, we have part A of the verse, part B of the verse, a chorus, a second verse with only a part B, and a second chorus. And so I want to work on the percussion for the chorus a little bit, and we're actually going to work on the second chorus because typically the second chorus is where you got everything going. So it's going to be the most complex. So this is where we want to build the sound, and then kind of like we did, remember in the verse, we started with this and then kind of paired off the first section. So that's what we're going to do. We can make this as complex as we want, and then we can pair it off for the first chorus and the verses. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, I'm not going to play it yet. Let's, I think the most important thing to do is to add some hat, and I'll add some hat and then we'll go ahead and play it. So let's pick a hi-hat, and we're just going to use stock FL kind of stuff here. And I'm just going to go with the first one I clicked on because why not? Put that on 12. Of course, we can always change it at any point. And the first thing we're going to do is make our first hat pattern, and I call this Hats Everywhere. Yay! Obviously it's not everywhere, but it's everywhere important. And we're just gonna put this everywhere for now. So again, I'm using the wrong tool. Wrong tool. Wrong tool. Okay. So now we have hats everywhere. So we're never going to have more hats than hats everywhere, but for some of these we will actually pair it back. And so we'll have a second hat that doesn't have a hat everywhere. So we have to figure out where that's going to be. But before we get there, let's go ahead and listen to this. I think we changed the note here and didn't change the bass. Sounds a little weird. That's okay, we'll look at that later. I'm not sure I love this hat sound. A little too clicky. Thinking of something a little... There, let's try that. A little more shimmery rather than clicky. That might be a little too shimmery. Okay, let's try that for now. Okay, so that's our hat. And then, so we need to think about our fills a little bit. So the most important part of percussion for me is the cymbal. So let's find a good cymbal. That's pretty good. I'm guessing we'll probably have multiple symbols, so that's why I called it symbol 1. What I'm thinking... So typically, you don't want to overdo it with the symbols. You're not going to have symbols pretty often because it can get obnoxious. If you're really careful with your reverb and your volume, you can get away with a lot of, and panning too is good with symbols. You can get away with a lot of stuff, but you definitely don't want to overdo your symbols. Actually, I'm already going to put our second one in. Great. Okay, so now we need, I think we'll use some toms as our fill. These electronic toms. Not a fan. Let's go way back. Sure. No toms in there. Toms. Oh, they're horrible. They would need to be compressed. Okay. Sorry, this is taking so much time. I wasn't expecting this to be quite so difficult. I could use some drums on demand toms, but the plan was to use something that everybody had from stock FL, so we really just need some good acoustic toms. Okay, now that we've listened to every single one, A lot of times, so typically you'll have three toms, a high, a low, and a mid. You may not use them all, and since we're having trouble finding some, we're going to go with a high and so we've got a high and a mid. Let's see if we can make this work at all. Okay, so now we have some stuff we can use for fills. So the question is, where do we want fills to be? Okay, so I'm thinking right here. Let's see how crazy that sounds. Not bad, except they are really quiet. Which I was not really... So I'm not actually compressing right now. We're just increasing the gain a little bit. Actually, a lot. And I think we also... Okay. So where else are we going to put that? So let's listen to the whole thing here that we have now. Okay. It's a thing. So remember I said before that there's some places where we probably want to take the hats away. Okay, so one thing you'll notice, or you should be noticing, and will at one point notice, is that the drums, of course, sound very robotic, and that's because we haven't played with the velocities or anything like that, and we'll do that eventually, but that's one of the very last things we do. And that just makes them sound a lot more human. Okay, so I'm thinking... thinking it might need a little bit of shimmer, but I'm not sure. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Let's... this might fail horribly. I call it shimmer because the hollow shimmer is a plugin that you would typically use to do this. I don't have it, and remember, we're only using stock plugins. So we're just going to do it with FL stuff. So we've got this hat, and we're going to put it at places. It doesn't really matter where you put it, because we're going to reverb the heck out of it. So I'm going to use the convolver, and we're going to throw in an impulse. Well, let's see. Excuse my cat. I'm just going to turn up the wet quite a bit, turn down the dry a little bit. question is, do we want that everywhere? I actually want that to be a little bit longer, I think. Let's go with something ridiculous. That is less ridiculous than it should be. Yeah, that doesn't work at all. Can't beat the public swimming pool. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. So hear that? Gives us a nice reverb. So it just adds a little bit to the high frequency end of things. Let's see. I think if we put it everywhere, that's probably going to be a little too much. I'm going to turn it down quite a bit. We just want it to barely be back there. So I just took it out anywhere that we had cymbal or fill. Okay, so it's coming along. There's something I want to try here with kick 2. Okay, that sounds like harp. And these toms are still really annoying the crap out of me. So let's see if we can make them sound a little bit better. That is not what I wanted. Not what I wanted at all. Craziness. That's a lot better. So one thing you'll notice is that the toms have quite a bit of frequency spread. They're a very messy kind of thing as compared to the kick, where it just hits and you have low frequency and a little bit more. But the toms really kind of spread out all over the frequency range. So I'm just kind of cutting them down so we get the meaty part of it. I think that's much better. Don't know what would happen if we actually did try to compress it a little bit. I don't exactly know how to do this, but if we give it quite a bit of compression, doesn't seem to be doing much to me, so So let's copy this mess. And I'm going to shift it back to the first chorus. And the way we want the first chorus to be different is I'm going to get rid of this shimmery stuff, and I think we'll, I think for now, I'm okay with that. Okay, so it's just a subtle difference, but the second chorus just has a little more oomph to it, and I think we'll start that that shimmer hat back here in the second verse. Also, it won't be in the first verse, but it will be in the second verse. But looking at this pattern, so it has this emphasis on the last quarter note, and nothing else in the entire verse really does that, so we'll make a new one. The other thing, I'm sorry, I use my words here. I'm also looking at the kick in the verse, and I think it needs to be a little more complex. So that's not what I was trying to do. It's at least. But now, of course, it competes with the snare, so that was dumb. That's the same as the chorus. I was avoiding that. What happens? That is not a 2. I failed. I'm having way too much fun with hats. This is now renamed Fun with Hats. Okay, so what did I do right there? So the kick is on 1 and 2 pretty steadily, so it actually wouldn't hurt to add a little variation to that, but there's quite a bit of variation in the chorus, so I'm okay with that. The snare is on 1 and 3 or 1, 2, and 3, and then I added this little hat. It's kind of a fill. It's not really a fill. It's just kind of an alternate hat, just to add a little emphasis at the end of each one of our verse lines. And then we've got some shimmer going throughout. So what do we want to do? Back to the first verse. And the answer is not much. Okay, so this is going to be a little long, but I'm going to go ahead and play the whole thing from the beginning just to get an idea of how everything is coming together. Okay, it's playing like it's feeling like it's a little more at 60 than 120. So I gotta think about how to give it a little more oomph. But the other thing I want to do is I'm still not particularly happy with these silly toms. So I think what I'll do, I'm gonna try one more thing, and that is add a little bit of reverb to the high one, and I'm gonna put that before the EQ. so much better. I'm going to go ahead and do that to the mids too. Okay, that is so much better. When in doubt, reverb. Okay, excellent. Okay, so we're going to stop here for now. So there's a couple things that are next in line. We need to add our stringy patch, and then we also need to refine, or not refine, but make our piano patch a little more complicated rather than just playing chords. And so those will be the next things in line. Wait, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.